All right. Just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we're back on another very special episode of Barely Watched Podcast. We got Mr. Lester Wiltfong Jr. in the building. Lester and his Achilles, he's finally able to come back to our studio. You know, we missed this studio face to face, sit down. You know what I'm saying? Lester, we appreciate you having some time for us. How you doing today?
No, I'm good. I'm hobbling around still. It's it's a work in progress. But yeah, I'm back, man. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Bears
news. First question of the day, young man. Why didn't the Max Crosby trade work out, especially after it was rescinded from the Baltimore Ravens?
Yeah, I mean the Bears were in on it, right? I mean it was a lot of talk about how they had an offer on the table, and I think that Ryan Poles and the Bears just had something in mind that they weren't going to go over, and I think once the price got to be 2 firsts, I think the Bears just look, that's too rich for us at this point. Look, I think he would have been great for the Bears this year, but I think the Bears may view this thing as maybe they're one more year away. Like maybe next year's their huge offseason, let's make a huge push. They're still kind of building what they got. The window's open, right, for a title because they were in the playoffs last year, but realistically speaking, let's not blow everything right now because, hey, we had some success. Let's blow it all now. I'm kind of cool with their measured approach to free agency. Nothing too huge, no huge contracts. They made a few nice deals, but for the most part, they're just kind of plugging some people in place on defense, letting the offense kind of build and grow, and then lets this whole thing grow organically in year 2 under Ben Johnson.
Now, I've read somewhere they said that per inside sources that he has degenerative knee issues. Is that true?
Oh, the Max Crosby?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff there. I mean, look, every team has their own medical field. They're doctors, right? They're all going to, have the chance to look at those guys and, maybe he really did get flagged. I mean, look, everyone knew he had a surgery, so he wasn't ready to go. He wasn't going to pass a physical, right? So I don't know. It just seems kind of shady what the Ravens did. In my opinion, it looks like that they had a deal on the table. Trey Hendrickson's deal kind of came a little bit down, and then they pivoted. Then they of course said, "Oh, we wanted to sign both. Make a trade for Max and sign Trey." Maybe, who knows? But the whole thing seemed kind of shady at the time. It is what it is. Max is in Vegas now. I mean, why, right? I mean, that's a rebuilding team. I think he still could get moved probably closer to the draft or maybe after the draft. Who knows? But I don't think he's going to be a Raider for life.
Okay. Now, we got to speak on that secondary of our defense. We had no safety under contract, and, everyone left. Bayard went to New England. No one thought that was going to happen. We thought he was going to stay. Brisker went to Pittsburgh. Jonathan Owens went to the Bills. Or
Colts, I think.
Colts, okay. He went somewhere. We didn't draft. We signed Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
What's up with the other safety position? Is that going to be Elijah Hicks, or I saw that they re-signed him and all that too? Tell us a little bit about that, Lester.
I mean, Hicks he can play, right? He can start some games if he has to. I don't think he's their plan. I think they're going to target a safety in the draft, whether it's the first pick at 25, maybe they trade back, maybe they get a guy in round 2. You can find a second round safety and plug and play, right? I mean, that's kind of what it is, especially this class. This is a pretty good safety class. There's 6 or 7 guys you can kind of get, on day 1 or day 2 that you probably feel comfortable plugging in there and playing next to a guy like Kobe Bryant. So I think that's the plan. If the draft board doesn't fall right for them, sign a guy, right? I mean, there's guys in the street you can kind of bring in, veterans who kind of come in and play for you, just kind of get by a season. So I think they'll be fine there. The whole thing with Brisker and Kevin Bayard, just the time to go, right? I mean, this is, they weren't Dennis Allen's guys. He wants his own guys in there. He's got one of them now in Kobe Bryant.
Now, what are we going to do at the cornerback position, knowing that Nashawn Wright, he upped and left and took the money?
Yeah.
Who's going to start outside of Jalen Johnson?
I mean, right now it's Tyreek Stevenson. I mean, it seems like that's probably their plan right now. But, again, I would not put it past the Bears to draft a guy. I mean, they may get a guy early.
Don't forget, you get Terrell Smith coming back as well, too.
Terrell Smith is back, right?
And
Zay Frazier's back. So, I mean, there's some options there. We'll kind of see what happens. Al Harris is a good defensive backs coach, so maybe he has some thoughts about Frazier or Terrell Smith. Again, think about it, though. Smith was drafted for the old regime. He may not be in the plans. We'll kind of see how that works out, but I thought he played pretty good when he had a chance. Again, that was Flusa's scheme. May not be the best fit for what DA wants to do, but look, you got Jalen Johnson if he's healthy, he's all-pro. Kyler Gordon, he's a good nickel back. He may play outside for you too. Who knows what they're going to do this year with him? But you got some options. And look, Tyree Stevenson had a rough go of it 2 years ago, right? The whole Hail Mary was rough. He couldn't crack the starting lineup this last season. Obviously, they had Wright took his place there. But Nashawn Wright had just a phenomenal year with takeaways. They weren't going to put him on the bench. So even if Tyree Stevenson was better in coverage, he wasn't quite as boomer bust as Wright was. They're going to go with the big play guy, and that was Wright. So I think Stevenson will be okay. If he's your starter, he'll be fine for a year. But I don't think he's the long-term plans.
Now we know that Caleb Williams was dubbed the nickname Iceman, because he was cold, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
but we got legendary NBA player George Gervin stepping in and say, hey, I'm putting a copyright on this as well, too, because this has been my name. Is it true that Caleb Williams put in his copyright a couple days prior to George Gervin? And what's crazy to me is how did George Gervin never have that copyrighted?
So Gervin, I guess, thought it was done years ago. This is what his story is. I thought it was done. My manager, I thought he did it. Well, you've got no royalties off Iceman your whole life. So why would you think that was copywritten? So I'm not sure what's going on there. But look, regardless, one's basketball, one's football, one's 40 years ago, one's now. I don't think no one's really capitalizing on George Gervin's Iceman nickname. But, of course, Packer fans, Lions fans, Viking fans, now they want to try and clown Caleb. This is something new, right? This is the new thing. Before it was the nails. Before it was, the whatever else it was with his personality. Now he's trying to capitalize on stealing the nickname Iceman like it was something that he just made himself. It was organic. They started saying, he has ice in his veins. Jeff Joniak, the announcer, started saying Iceman. His teammates started calling him Iceman. And it became Iceman. It is what it is. This is who he is now. So it's up to the courts. I'm sure there'll be lawyers involved, and maybe they'll let him use it for his likeness when it comes to football. Maybe they'll approve George Gervin's when it's more basketball related. But regardless, George Gervin's not capitalizing on that name right now.
Of course. Now, as you know, Lester, we were able to trade DJ Moore away. What is the offense going to look like going forward now with no DJ Moore? Who's going to be the primary target of that offense now?
That's a good question. I mean, look, you got Roman Dunze, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland. I think Loveland has a good chance to kind of lead this team in receptions again. He did last year as a rookie.
He looked like he put on some weight, too, like some muscle-wise.
You saw that Instagram? Yeah. I mean,
not to cut you off.
No, he's working hard. I mean, look, last year at this time, he was recovering from shoulder surgery, right? He missed all of OTAs. He missed minicamp. He wasn't cleared for football activity until training camp started in July. So he's ahead of the game now. He'll be out there. He'll be working out. He's going to get his stuff together. Him and Caleb will have their connection again, and I think he has a good chance to lead his team in receptions next year.
Of course. Now, who's going to lead it when it comes to the running back room? Because obviously we kept Swift and Monunga as well, too. Are we going to see a little bit of that same duo next year, or do you think they're going to add another face into it as well?
I mean, Swift's under contract. There was some talk that they may move on because of the salary, which still could happen, right? If they need the money really bad and they realize, look, let's pivot here and get a different tailback. But I like Swift. I like Monunga. It's a good combination. They play well off each other. But you lost Travis Homer. Roshan Johnson is just a guy. So it would not be surprising if they draft another running back at some point just because they want to have another guy there in the mix. You saw Monunga. He played as a rookie pretty good. Swift missed a game or two. Swift's in his last year of his deal. So get a guy if you feel the draft falls are just right for you. And now you have three guys you can kind of turn to.
Of course. Now we know that we have pick number 25, first round.
Yeah.
Where do you see them going with that pick? And just tell us a little bit about what you view the draft as and what they will fill their positions of.
Yeah, I mean, in talking to our draft guy, I mean, they're like, look, it's a good D-line class, but there's no, top elite guy that can get there at 25. I mean, the guys at 25, probably the same type of talent you get at 40, at 50. So if you trade back, I think it's ideal. If you stick and pick, you have to. I think you're going to get the best play on your board, whether that's at defensive tackle, defensive end, maybe safety. We talked about how they need a safety there. So I think all those positions are in play. But again, look, it's a cornerback too. Maybe corners in play there. You hear a lot of talk about left tackle. I know they brought back Braxton Jones. They signed Jedrick Wills with a vet minimum deal from the Browns. So they have some options at left tackle. But again, if the board falls just right, and if there's a guy that's sitting there at left tackle they believe in, maybe they go offense.
Wow. If you had to say, Lester, if it was up to you, what do you do with the number 25 pick?
I would love to trade back. Like I said,
Oh, wow.
I think the strength of this draft's in that second round, just because of the way the depth falls. They need a defensive tackle. A lot of the guys are going to go early are more nose guys. That's not really fits Dennis Allen's scheme. He wants penetrators, right? He wants quick first step guys, get in there and disrupt. He wants to push the pocket up the middle. Yeah, you got to stop the run, but that's kind of what DA wants his linebackers to do, kind of fill and plug those holes. So trade back, maybe get a guy a little later. Same with defensive end, get a guy a little later. I think you have options there in both positions.
I was reading somewhere, I forgot what article it was, where they're saying last year was Ben Johnson's draft. This year is Dennis Allen's draft. How do you feel about that? What do you think?
I mean, that makes the most sense. I mean, look, first year Ben Johnson comes in, he does not want the old Flus's offense. He wants to make it his own. Colson Loveland's that move tight end, great mismatches all over the place. Luther Burden's a guy that he targeted because, great with the ball in his hands. The offense is set, right? I mean, they pretty much are all intact. They lost DJ Moore, like you said, but other than that, the offense is good to go. Defense last year, a lot of turnovers, pretty good on third downs, gave up a ton of yards, gave up a ton of points. They played good in spurts, just not a very good defense overall. So, yeah, this is going to be DA's draft because the free agency was the same. Like, not a lot of big splashy moves. They're going to go young.
Of course. Lester, with a lot of key pieces leaving Chicago, where would you see their season going and trending next year?
Look, I'm still high on this team. I think the offense is going to be better, right?
Oh, wow. Stop playing.
Oh, look, it's year 2 of Ben Johnson, right? I mean, so why wouldn't you believe that this is going to be a good team? Every year in Detroit, they got better, the offense. Every single year they improved. The DVOA, the yards, the points, every year got better. Why not the same thing here? He's got a good quarterback in Caleb Williams, pretty good offensive line, weapons all around them. They'll all be one more year in the scheme. They'll be better there. So some fans are down because, they're not making any big moves. The big move was Ben Johnson, right?
Yeah.
The big move was Ben Johnson last year, getting him to work with Caleb Williams. This team is on the up. I think they'll be good again this year.
Is it time to see a 4,000-yard passer? Or oh, okay.
I don't know. It's possible. Look, it's Ben Johnson will never push for that, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if it's there, if it's organically going to happen, maybe he's like, yeah, let's go for it. But I don't think it's something he's really going to push for. But again, year 2 in the scheme, things are going to open up a little better. Your receivers will be more in tune with their routes. They'll understand what they're going to do. They'll understand what Caleb's seeing better. Another year in the system. I think this could be the year you finally see that 4,000s.
How much faith do you have in our linebacking core? Because you got to understand, T.J. Edwards coming off that injury. When do you think he'll be even ready to go?
Everything I've read about it said he could be back by camp.
No, wow.
Well, I mean, it's a broken ankle. Same thing with Braxton Jones. Similar timeline, right? So it depends on the severity, right? If it's really severe, maybe it takes a little longer. But again, you said linebacker, so he needs quickness. He was already starting to fall off a little bit last year, right?
What?
You saw some moments where you're like, man, he looks a little slower, right?
Dang, okay.
Because of the I think it was a groin injury. It may have been a calf or a thigh. He had a couple pulled muscle injuries, right? So he needs to be healthy because you brought in some guys. I think you'll be fine there.
Jack Sanborn's back, baby. Let's go. You said that's a Pro Bowler Hall of Famer.
Yeah, so that's what I said. I mean, he's a good player, right? He's a Sam. You trust him. You've had him in the building before. I think it'll be fine. But I think with DeMarco Jackson, with Devin Bush, you picked up from the Browns. T.J. Edwards, I think you're fine at linebacker. But again, I think linebacker's a spot this draft is pretty deep in. I think you get a linebacker on day 2, day 3. I think it's a guy that can kind of come in. You still got Ruben Hippolyte, on the roster, who's really fast guy that really did nothing as a rookie.
Why you gonna say that?
But look, he was picked for a reason, right? So look, he's in the mix. He may get a chance here. I kind of see him more of your special teams guy. You lost Amin Agbangbiga. He's gone now.
I can never say that name.
I think I butchered it, but let's go with it. But I think if anything, Hippolyte can kind of give you that.
Yeah.
Year 2. He's more comfortable. He's more understanding what he has to do at the NFL level. I think he may be a core special teams guy. But I think as far as your starters, I think they're on the roster, and I think it's going to be a decent group.
But aren't we going to have to really watch out for Minnesota with them getting Kyler Murray?
Yeah, I mean, they'll be better. I mean, look, they still got, J.J. McCarthy there. They said they're not going to just hand him the job. They'll see what happens. But He's fine. I mean, he's a good quarterback, right? He's a good quarterback in the NFL. It's a good coaching staff over there, But overall, I mean, that team is, you want to talk about teams that have bad decisions these last several years. I mean, they have not drafted very good. Their free agency, they've had a few hits, but mostly misses. That's why they got rid of the general manager. They got rid of him, and they're kind of have a little mini rebuild here. I think they'll be fine. I think the Lions are good. I think the Packers are good. The Bears are good. It's a good division again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As we get ready to close out this phenomenal episode, Lester, where are we going? Are we going to Arlington Heights? We're going to Indiana? Staying put in Chicago? Lester, let us know something.
I mean, everything I hear is still like staying in Illinois, Arlington Heights, right? I mean, that's everything you hear. It's the, there was something in the state legislature last week, right? There's a bill on the table, right? It's just a matter of getting everyone to agree to it. Again, it's a tax thing. They want to have their taxes set for so many years. But that makes the most sense. There's a great deal on the table from Indiana, but if you're George McCaskey, do you want that to be your legacy? You lost the Bears to Indiana? I don't think so. I think they're staying in Illinois. Not Chicago, but
It's Chicago, yeah.
Not anymore. But it's Chicago, right? Like there are so many teams in the league that don't play in their city. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. It's fine. It's build that stadium, make that your legacy, build the entire area up to be like a mini Bear City.
Of course. Ladies and gentlemen, that you heard it here first on Barely Watched Podcast. I'm your host, Most Devon Booker, and that is Lester, Mr. Never Ever Been Wrong, Wiltfong Jr. Lester, we greatly appreciate you having some time for us.
Anytime, my friend.